Good day, everyone. This is Eagle News. I am Eliza Gonzalez in Manglekmot in Washington. It is Saturday, the first day of the new year, January 1, 2022, here in the nation's capital. And here are this week's stories. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says we have the tools to fight Omicron. Businesses in D.C. are to require patrons to show proof of vaccination upon entering their premises amid record-breaking COVID-19 infections in the district. In the Bay Area, drivers now have to pay $1 more when using the bridge tolls. Thomas Likeness tells us about making and keeping New Year resolutions, being optimistic in 2022, and wishing only the best in the coming days on this week's Correspondent at Large. For Mind Your Business, Bobby Soriano tells us what the future looks like for trade shows and conventions this new year. For Learning Curve, Philip Toledo reports about NASA launching the largest and most powerful space telescope. A virtual video premiere of Nicholas Pichai's Rizal Pen. That's for Embassy Files with Arlene Ocampo. For Oceania at a glance, an overview of how COVID has affected Australia as the pandemic is about to enter a third year. And Filipinos in Papua New Guinea join hands for families of victims of Typhoon Odette. For Color My World, Danita Manawi takes us back in time to the Old West. Plus, no baked desserts. That's for this week's Behind the Counter with Aika Era. Our coverage begins now. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, as of December 20, 2021, Omicron has been detected in most states and territories. The most recent strain is said to be rapidly increasing the proportion of COVID-19 cases it is causing. The CDC is expecting a surge of COVID-19 cases in the coming days to weeks. The agency says it has not determined yet how easily it spreads, the severity of illness it causes, or how well available vaccines and medications work against it, but foresees that Omicron variant likely will spread more easily than the original SARS-CoV-2 virus. However, how easily Omicron spreads compared to Delta remains unknown. The CDC expects that anyone with Omicron infection can spread the virus to others, even if they are vaccinated or don't have symptoms. The health agency continues to promote vaccines as the best public health measure to protect people from COVID-19, slow transmission, and reduce the likelihood of new variants emerging. Health officials say masks offer protection against all variants and that tests can tell you if you are currently infected with COVID-19. In related news, to help curb the spread of COVID-19, the District of Columbia is launching a citywide vaccination entry requirement, or VaxDC, which calls for establishments to verify that patrons are vaccinated against COVID-19. This begins on January 15. As per the mayor's orders, before people can access the indoor portion of the business, a business is required to check the patron's proof of vaccination. Proof of vaccination may be one of the following: a physical Center for Disease Control or CDC vaccination card, a digital copy or photo of a CDC vaccination card, a COVID-19 verification app such as VaxYes or Clear. Now, the timeline for the implementation of the said entry requirement begins January 15. One dose for patrons ages 12 and above, and starting February 15, 2022, patrons age 12 and above who seek entry to these establishments must be fully vaccinated. Proof of vaccination against COVID-19 is required in the following locations: indoor food and drink establishments, cultural and entertainment establishments, exercise and recreational establishments, and event and meeting establishments. Beginning on January 15, businesses are required to display prominently visible to patrons prior to entry a notice saying that proof of vaccination is required to enter any indoor portion of a covered location. New year, new price for bridge toll users in the Bay Area. Timon Lee and Hayward reports.
Bay Area residents will be paying $1 more to travel around over 7 of the Bay Area's bridges starting on January 1st, 2022. The toll for 7 of the Bay Area bridges will be increasing from $6 to $7 starting next year on January 1st, 2022. According to the Bay Area Toll Authority, this increase will be in effect for the following bridges: San Francisco Oakland Bay, Antioch, Venecia Martinez, Carquinez, Dumbarton, Richmond San Rafael, and San Mateo Hayward bridges. The toll increase is the second of 3 approved by the legislature in 2017 via State Senate Bill 595 and by voters through Regional Measure 3 in 2018. The first increase went into effect in 2019, and the third toll increase is scheduled to take effect in 2025. This is Timon Lee, Eagle News, Hayward.
Thanks, Timon. New year, new you, but how to? Entering a new year is another opportunity to make resolutions, but how many are actually able to keep these promises? This story and more from Thomas I. Likeness, our correspondent at large.
We've just started a new year. It's 2022. I feel like I did when a new school year started. You know, notebooks with pristine blank pages, and I promised myself that my penmanship would be better, that the entries in those books would be neat and easy to read. But alas, within days, my left-handed scrawl began to fill the pages of those books. Is that what it's like for you at the beginning of a new year? Full of hope and anticipation? You know, we have 12 months in front of us. We make resolutions about how we will do things differently in 2022. How's it all going to turn out? Let's take the pulse of the world's population. These findings come from an Ipsos survey around the globe. 3/4 of those asked plan to make some kind of personal resolution this year. Japan and Sweden are the only surveyed countries where less than half will make resolutions. Only 44% in Japan and just 23% in Sweden. Another poll commissioned by Medifast looks at how Americans stick to their resolutions. It indicates only 1 out of 10 people actually follow through. Nearly half of all resolutions are broken within the first month. Why is that? Well, loss of motivation accounted for nearly half of those failures. That was followed by not having a plan or the right support. Other reasons included setting too many or overly ambitious goals. And what are the top 3 resolutions? Improving financial health, number 1, followed by improving physical health, and then focusing on self-care. If you have one, what's your resolution this year? And how optimistic are people in 2022? Well, it seems hope springs eternal. Ipsos, in that global survey, says more than 3/4 of those asked figure it'll be better than last year, and about 60% figure the global economy will do better this year. That's up from 54% last year. Before I leave you today, I want to pass on my personal New Year's wishes for 2022. For the COVID-19 virus, its cousins, Delta, Omicron, and others, banishment to the medical history books. For my calamity-weary friends in the Philippines, a year of relief from typhoons, earthquakes, volcanoes, and other calamities. For politicians everywhere, the will to put the welfare of their people ahead of their own interests and ideology. For anti-vaxxers, a plague of common sense that will infect them and make them realize the value of vaccines and the dangers the unvaccinated put themselves in and the threat they pose to others, and give them the will to become responsible members of society. For the people of the United States, unity, an end to the divisiveness in the country, and a return to some of the nation's founding principles. For the conspiracy theorists, an intellectual ladder that will help them to climb out of the rabbit hole that they have fallen into. And for you, our loyal Eagle News and Net25 viewers, I wish you all happiness, good health, prosperity, and the truth. Wishing you all the best in 2022, Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News.
Thank you, Thomas, and Happy New Year to you. Remember, to make a resolution stick, it is helpful to break big dreams into smaller goals and try to accomplish them one tiny step at a time. Now that 2022 is here, so is Omicron tagging along. Now, what does this hold for the future of trade shows and conventions as restrictions tend to tighten once again in many parts of the country? Bobby Soriano for this week's Mind Your Business.
Hello everyone and welcome to another segment of Mind Your Business, where we are dedicated to discussing the latest news moving the markets and business trends that could be affecting your workplace soon. As the pandemic continues to upend how people meet up with one another, businesses have also had to evolve how they reach out to potential customers and partners. Prior to the arrival of COVID, the most cost-effective way to introduce your business to new customers and clients was by participating in trade shows, conventions, and the like. That all changed in 2020. At the onset of the pandemic, as everyone was still trying to get a grasp on how dangerous the COVID-19 virus would be, trade shows and conventions all over the world were postponed indefinitely, with some convention centers having to be converted to makeshift hospitals to care for those afflicted during the pandemic. Fast forward to the present day, and it has only been within the past few months that large gatherings are beginning to make a serious comeback. Here in New York, the world-famous New York Comic Con held its first in-person fan convention since 2019. Attendees were seemingly thrilled to be back.
It's absolutely amazing to be back here. I'm so excited. I'm not used to doing it though. It's only our second one since everything happened and I'm just tired.
How has the atmosphere, how is the atmosphere out here in general?
It very much feels like normal Comic-Cons, even with everyone wearing the mask. It's intense,
Very
it's crowded,
intense.
but it's wonderful.
I think it's wonderful. I think everybody's excited to be back and everybody's super awesome.
It's been fabulous. Honestly, I was so excited. The second I got the email saying that, New York Comic Con is coming back, and I immediately jumped on the wait list and I put it on. And this is actually our first time coming on a Sunday. Normally we go on a Friday, so we definitely were kind of interested in seeing how Sundays were going to be like, and it's been great. We've had a blast.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The last time we went was 3 years ago, I think. So this was just as fun. There's so much to see every time we're here. All the vendors, the panels.
While the return of NYCC went smoothly, not all conventions fared as well. Only a month later, another large-scale fan convention, Anime NYC, had the unfortunate publicity of having the first reported case of the Omicron variant here in the United States. And therein lies a new normal for event planners trying to navigate a path to profitable and successful trade show or convention. They have to ask the questions like, what procedures do we need in place to keep attendees safe? What kind of budget do we need to have for safety precautions against COVID? How do we manage any possible fallout in the event of attendees testing positive for COVID? These are just some of the questions that future conventions and trade shows need to address, all the while on a reduced budget, as recent data suggests that attendance to these events continues to be below pre-pandemic highs. It's not only attendees showing caution, but vendors and companies as well. CES, one of the largest consumer electronic trade shows in the world, is scheduled to run from January 5th to January 8th. However, the spike in COVID infections throughout the world is giving pause to some of the biggest names in the industry from attending. Tech giants Microsoft and AMD have already canceled their planned appearances at the trade show, and with the new surge in COVID cases, they may not be the last ones to reconsider their appearances. On behalf of everyone at the EBC Business Desk, we'd like to wish all of our viewers a happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you for tuning into our business reports, and we hope our segments in 2022 will help you navigate your own business endeavors. Reporting from New York, for Mind Your Business, this is Bobby Soriano, Eagle News.
Thanks, Bobby. It is described as the most powerful space telescope ever made, the James Webb Space Telescope. It is designed to observe part of space and time never seen before. Now, to tell us more, here's Philip Toledo for this week's Learning Curve.
You know, it does appear to be kind of dreary here in Atlanta today. But you know where you can go and not have to worry about the weather? Space. And speaking of space, here on Learning Curve, we have an update from NASA, the launch of the world's largest space telescope. The James Webb Space Telescope launched late last week, and according to NASA, this revolutionary technology will study every phase of cosmic history. Because of the way light travels through space, Webb will be able to see when the first stars formed over 13.5 billion years ago. Light from back then has been stretched into infrared light today, and that is what Webb will be able to view. The telescope will also help scientists study more nearby stars and planets, particularly in our own solar system, and compare them to others. They will even be able to tell about the chemical compositions of different atmospheres through a technique called transmission spectroscopy. However, we won't be able to see faraway worlds just yet. Since it launched last week, Webb will spend 6 months of conditioning in space, 1 million miles away from Earth. Once these calibrations and setups are complete, scientific observations will commence. For more information, visit nasa.gov/web, WEBB. Until then, from all of us here at Learning Curve, we wish you a very happy new year and hope that your 2022 is out of this world. Philip Toledo, Learning Curve, Eagle News.
Thank you, Philip. That is amazing. Now, back to Earth. Central Rizal of the Philippine Embassy here in Washington, D.C. hosts a virtual showing of the movie Rizal Pen by Filipino filmmaker Nicholas B. Pichay. Here's Arlene Ocampo for Embassy Files.
In commemoration of the death of Philippines national hero Dr. Jose Protasio Rizal, the Centro Rizal, Washington, D.C. hosts a special virtual video premiere of the movie Rizal's Pen. Rizal's Pen is a 45-minute film directed and written by Nicholas B. Pichay. It is about a young man in contemporary times discovering and understanding the relevance of the hero's writings in his life. The screening started on December 30th and will run until January 1st, 2022 via the Philippine Embassy's Facebook page at PHNUSA. This year's Rizal Day theme is Rizal, para sa agham katotohanan at buhay, or Rizal, for science, truth, and life. Every 30th of December, the Philippines observes the death anniversary of Dr. Rizal. May we all have a wonderful 2022. In Washington, D.C., Arlene Ocampo, Embassy Files, Eagle News.
Thanks, Arlene. Sounds very interesting. Now, meanwhile, let's head over to Australia as Eagle News correspondent Patricia Madronio gives an overview of the COVID-19 effects on the country as the pandemic enters another year, its third. Here's Oceania at a glance.
As 2021 comes to an end, it marks almost 3 years since COVID-19 first entered Australia and the country became involved in the worldwide pandemic. Despite its longevity, the influence of the pandemic on the Australian way of life has not diminished and instead continuously evolves. As of the 30th of December 2021, the COVID-19 statistics in Australia are as follows. Around 340,000 total cases, but about 240,000 recovered and under 100,000 currently active. Fortunately, a vast majority of the cases are mild. However, there have also been just over 2,000 deaths. More than 42 million vaccination doses have been dispensed, with over 19,700,000 citizens receiving full doses, and many having already received their booster shots. Overall, about 76.8% of the country is fully vaccinated. Currently, Australia is facing a mounting challenge as the Omicron variant of the virus surges throughout the country, resulting in increased stress on testing facilities and the healthcare system. The numbers of daily cases have increased to thousands as the variant moves quickly, infecting even those who are vaccinated. An emerging issue is the severe deficiencies of blood supplies, as more and more people become infected and become unable to donate blood. The overall outcomes of the Omicron variant's entry into Australia have yet to be shown, and emergency meetings of the Australian government aim to discuss new public health policies and methodologies to handle the country's most recent outbreak. Still, Australians persevere with the approach of living with COVID-19 endemic to the country. As the vast majority of the population are vaccinated, we can live with the comfort that although the likelihood of coming into close contact or being infected with the virus is high, the risk for severe disease is much lower. Australians will remain united in the efforts to finally achieve normality, and although the year may be ending on a seemingly low note, hopes are high for a progressive and prosperous 2021. Patricia Madronio, Oceania at a Glance, Eagle News.
Thank you, Patricia. Now, meanwhile, in Papua New Guinea, Filipinos are consolidating efforts in reaching out to families of victims of Typhoon Odette that recently ravaged parts of the Philippines. Echo Hortaleza Quinola with the details.
The Filipino Association in Papua New Guinea, or FAPNAng, kicks off their fundraising drive for the victims of Typhoon Odette in the Philippines. A benefit basketball game was organized by the club officers to help our kababayans who were severely impacted by the calamity.
The recent intense typhoon battered several regions in the Philippines, causing floods, torrential rains, and landslides, and left thousands of families homeless. This prompted the members of the Filipino Association of Papua New Guinea to help ease the plight of our kababayans. According to the organizers, the total collection from the benefit game will be given to the overseas Filipino workers residing in Port Moresby whose families were devastated by Typhoon Odette. The Filipino Association of Papua New Guinea, or FAPNAng basketball players, contributed willingly any amount that can be of help.
Nagre-raise kami ng funds para kahit pa paano makatulong kami sa mga kababayan natin na sa lantanan ng COVID-19. Ang priority namin, una-muna, yung mga nandito na sa Moresby, na mga pamilya nila ay naapekto ng bagyo sa Pilipinas. Huli, makaligong kami ng tapat na halaga para mas maraming matulong.
Tuloy po din po sila pupunta hanggang tingking tayo dito. Tatanong namin na biktima ng bagyo. So, doon namin ibibigay sa kanila diretso.
Halimbawa, meron tayong kababayan dito, mga 20 sila. So, whatever amount na nandito namin, i-distribute na lang.
Mga Pilipino na nandito na kung sinong gustong tumulong, dito lang po sa clubhouse, welcome po namin lahat ng any amount na do-donate mo.
Magkaroon tayo ng isang masagana at mapagpalang bagong taon. Maging healthy tayo lahat maligtas sa coronavirus at sa anumang sakit kiramdam.
Mawala na sana yun.
At totally na at mawala na po yung
Organizing events such as fundraising is a way to extend kindness and help to our kababayans. It is indeed a noble and crucial act that our countrymen in need who would truly benefit.
As of this report, FAPNAng is still accepting donations from those who would like to help. Let us support our kababayans, especially in these struggling times.
Reporting from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, this is Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Echo. Back here in the U.S., but in a different era. It's that of the Old West. Nanita Manawis takes us back in time when cowboys and horses roamed the streets. Here's this week's Color My World.
Have you ever wanted to travel back in time to see the Old West? Here in Fort Worth, Texas, we see history come to life at the Fort Worth Stockyards. Come and join me as we take a closer look at real-time cowboys, horses, and longhorn cattle. Nothing captures the spirit of Western heritage better than the Fort Worth Stockyards National Historic District. Every inch of this cultural attraction, from the original brick walkways to the wooden corrals, tells the true story of the famous livestock industry in Texas. During the late 1800s, cattle drovers had led over 4 million head of cattle through the city of Fort Worth, which is how the city earned its nickname, Cowtown. In 1876, with the arrival of the railroad, Fort Worth became a major shipping point for livestock, which led to the creation of the Fort Worth Stockyards. Today, Fort Worth Stockyards is now part of the National Historical District, which includes restored landmarks such as the Livestock Exchange Building, which houses the Stockyards Museum, and the Cowtown Coliseum, home to the first indoor rodeo.
You are here to recognize and celebrate 131 years of proud American West.
The Fort Worth Stockyards is the only place in the world where you can witness the twice daily Longhorn cattle drive of the Fort Worth herd, every day at 11:30 a.m. and 4 o'clock p.m., except on holidays.
And here's Billy Martin, dancing and more. That's Billy Martin.
The chance to have an authentic Old West experience, combined with over 100 shopping, dining, and entertainment venues, makes the Fort Worth Stockyards National Historical District one of the most popular and iconic Texas tourist destinations. Meanwhile, I hope you have a safe and healthy 2022 and happy and healthy New Year. Anita Panawis, Color My World, Fort Worth, Texas, Eagle News.
Thank you, Nanita. I'm sure too much traveling in space and time got you all starving. Put on your aprons and let's get to work as Aika Era shares with us her recipes for these two no-bake desserts, strawberry icebox cake and Oreo cookie balls. It's time for Behind the Counter.
Hey, I'm Aika and welcome back to Behind the Counter, where we see easy and tasty meals be brought to life. For your end of the year celebrations, here are some easy and quick, no-bake desserts that are sure to please any crowd. First up, a strawberry icebox cake, a recipe you'll love very much. Next, Oreo cookie balls. Oreo ready for this? Check back here for full recipes, and if there's a dish that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments below. Catch us on EagleNewsLive.com, on our Eagle News YouTube channel, and our Facebook page. From the whole team here at Behind the Counter, we wish you a Happy New Year.
Starting the New Year sweet. Thank you, Aika, and thank you all for watching. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I am Eliza Gonzalez Banglikmot, wishing all of you a happy 2022.